oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I had to log out completely because it wasn't working. I just, I don't know. I couldn't. I was frozen and I wasn't sure that you could hear me. So let me just go on so that we can round this off. It's been really stressful, right? All right, so quickly. So let's look at the 5 hours, okay, of effective learning. So I was saying, so for every time your children come with this math task, right, and they're doing it, what we find out that we're doing as parents, okay, or what we find that in some schools is done is, the child is working, or you're working. Since we're parents, let's pay attention. Let's talk about what we do with them as parents. So you're working, the child is working, and then he begins to struggle, or he's supposed to do, say, 10 plus 5, and then he writes a 12. Then you will hear the parents say to him, will you look at that thing again? Come on, will you look at that work again? It's 10 plus 12. It's 10 plus 5, 12. And then the child looks at it and the child cannot figure out where the mistake is. By the time I slap you, you will know, you will look at that work and you do it again. Now that's you, the parent. In the school system, we have this happen also in many cases. The child does the task, or at the point the teacher is giving the example, he gives like a quick task in class, and then the child does it, and this child is not doing it well, and then he goes there and shouts at the child and all of that. What you're doing is you are stopping, or you are inhibiting this child from learning. Okay, you are inhibiting this child from knowing how to learn, because it isn't staying on that task. It's staying on that task and learning the skills that come with attempting that task that the child knows how to learn, and not just what to learn. So what we do most of the times is we are focused on what our children need to learn and not how to learn. So we're focused on the child knowing addition, was focused on him knowing what 10 plus 5 is. So for the average parent, it is that outcome of 10 plus 5 that determines the child's success. For the average school, it is those straight A's that determines the child's success. For the average person, it is the fact that the child is able to score, and even after having 94, the fact that he is the one that has he is the one that is top. With his 94, he has to be first, and every other person has to have 93 point something and be behind him. So if he has 94 and it happens that 20 or 50 people ahead of him have more than 94, it is a problem. So you see, we're not focused on how the child can learn. We're focused on what the child is learning. And that on its own is not preparing the child for what is ahead of him. That is not the kind of education that your child needs to have. So if you are that parent and this is what you do, then you are not giving your child the education that he deserves. If your child is in a school that this is what is priority, then your child is not having the education that the child deserves. Now, in tackling that math task, what your child is supposed to get is, your child is supposed to learn to be resilient. I hope I've not ended up in my Facebook profile again. God help me. Oh my, looks like it. Looks like I'm on my profile again. Okay, we will just have to go. Sorry, Nanfa, am I on my profile or am I on the group Parenting Through Mentorship? Please, I would like to know very much. Today hasn't been the coolest day. Nanfa, please, if you are watching me on my Facebook profile, Mary Beth Chima, could you let me know if you're watching me on my profile, not on my group? Because it won't be nice that I'm on my profile again and not in the group. Okay, this has been a very turbulent one. All right, please, anyone who's watching me, could you just let me know if you're watching me on my profile, not on my group, or if you're watching me on the group? Could you let me know that? Okay, looks like we have to. Okay. Tell you what, I would just. Okay, I don't like what's happening here today. I'm so sorry about this. So sorry about this. Okay. We'll continue. Okay, let's make a decision fast. So I'll continue whether I'm on my profile, on my group, or what I would do is afterwards we would just share on the group, right? If this is my profile. All right, beautiful. So I'm so sorry, guys, on Instagram. All right, so losing my my train of thoughts. All right, so basically what the child is supposed to do while at that task is, one, your child is supposed to learn to be your child is supposed to learn. First of all, you want a child that is ready to learn. Okay, so that's the first R. Your child must be one that is ready to learn. So you put the task in front of the child. We're supposed to have nurtured our children, okay, right from when they are young, right from when they are little. So when I talk about creating a stimulating environment, right from when your child is an infant even. Okay, so as an infant, you're playing with your baby and you're like, twinkle, twinkle, little star, I see 3 stars in the sky. And then there's another star in the sky. Oh, there are 4 stars in the sky. Oh, 1 star, I see 1 shooting star falling down. Now there are 3 stars again. What are you doing? You're already stimulating. And then twinkle, twinkle, little star on its own, rhyme. You're already stimulating. Oh, sweetie, why are you crying? You want mommy to give you a massage? Would you want mommy to throw you up in the, you are already stimulating language. So do you want to tell me what's going on? Okay, do you want me to language? So you're stimulating, you're doing that. You're stimulating already right from when this child is an infant. Okay, the child is now a toddler. And then you're taking a stroll around. You're taking a stroll, the child is in the stroller, and you're like, oh, look at that beautiful sun. Can you look at it? So don't look at this. Already stimulating, the child is already hearing there's something like a song. Okay, you're moving and you're like, wow, it's a very windy day. I think you should wait. You're already stimulating. I think it's a windy day. Oh, it's a very hot day. So when we go out today, mommy, you will have to wear something that is really light because I don't want you to be all sweaty and sticky. You are stimulating, rich language. Okay, so as you continue to do this, you're already creating experiences for your child. You're creating experiences for the child. You're already showing the child the world around him. You're giving the child the first knowledge of the world around him. You take the child to the park and then you sit down there and you allow the child run around. The child is running around and then you tell the child, go pluck me 3 leaves. And the child plucks 3 leaves and brings to you, oh, that's not 3. Okay, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you actually got 5, not 3. And then he goes, okay, you are stimulating already. Okay, so by the time your child gets into school, whether it's nursery, kindergarten, or whatever, when the teacher says, or the teacher brings forward mathematics or brings forward numbers to count, the child is not experiencing number for the first time. The child is excited about numbers because, hey, mommy or daddy has created a lot of experiences. There's been a lot of stimulation. Okay, he's had all the scissors and he's played with them. He has developed his fine motor skills and he's done all of that while he's at home with you. You have used rich language with this child over and over again. So yes, when the child comes into nursery school, he sees these things. It is not his first experience of these things. He is already excited about learning. So the first R is that the child is ready to learn. Okay, now when you put that task before the child, you put the math task before your child and you tell the child 10 plus 15. The child is looking at it, he doesn't know what to do, and then he thinks, okay, there are oranges in the kitchen, I'll just go grab them and see if I can use that. So he goes and then he grabs the oranges and he begins to, the child is being resourceful. Okay, the child is being resourceful. Or, okay, there are no counters in the class. There are no counters in the class that he can use. There are no manipulatives in the class to use. And the child thinks of, okay, I'll just use my fingers and I'll use my, he uses his finger and he goes 1, 2, and it's 10. Okay, 10, my finger, what do I use? And then he brings his foot out and he begins to count his foot. So the child is being resourceful. Now, you're not telling the child these things. You're allowing the child think on his own. You're allowing the child think of what he can use around him to get his solution. As they grow older, they think that way. So that's why when you see schools that are project-based, right? Schools that are project-based, that put out projects for children to do over and over again, allowing them to think, allowing them to create, but what we do at home a lot of times as parents, we will create and provide all the resources that the children need. In fact, we won't even allow them to come up with the ideas of the materials that they need. We will provide everything. When you do that, you are inhibiting the child from being resourceful. And that is part of the reason why we have so many intellectuals, we have so many learned Nigerians, we have so many learned Africans, but we are not the ones doing the innovations, we're not the ones creating the new things, because we were not trained to be resourceful. We were not trained to, go out there and, look for solutions on our own. It is always provided for us. So the math question, textbook will come with the question, the 10 time unit is arranged. All you need to do is count and just put the answers right there. So that's why every time our children come across word problems, those word problems that tells them, oh, if mommy had 5 oranges and then she gives 2 to Auntie Ike and Uncle Bayo gives her another 2, and then the children are lost. Immediately word problems come, our children are lost because they don't even know where to start, because we don't allow our children we don't allow our children think, and we don't allow our children decide to be resourceful on their own. Remember at the beginning, I said education is when there is a permanent change in the thinking and then in the ability to do. So if our children are not thinking and they are not using that thought to do or to create, then education is not happening. Okay? Now, while the child is on that task, the child is also able to reflect. Okay, the child is able to think, okay, why can't I do this task right now? What's stopping me from doing this right now? What can I do differently? The last time I did it, what was the outcome? What did I get from the last time I did it? How can I do it differently? Okay, how can I do it differently? And all of that. So when our children are able to reflect, then they are able to self-correct. When they are able to reflect, they are able to self-correct. When they are able to reflect, they are able to think of why things went wrong in the past and what they can do differently to make sure that they have better outcomes. But because we do not even allow our children, what we do, we inhibit this process by beating them. A lot of times we beat them, okay? We beat them and then we provide the way forward for them, right? Pow! Will you take that counter and then count it? Or counter in there, counter in there. Then the child counts 1, 2, 3, 4. Take another 5 and put it there. And now count all of them together. But have you just done? You have just settled. You have just what do you call it? You have just provided the solution for the child. And then when he gets the 10, he then counts it together. He now counts 15. We don't write it in the space. And then he writes it there and we are happy. Outcome. We're happy about telling our children what to do. We're happy about teaching our children what they need to know and not, or what they need to learn and not how to learn. Okay? Right. So while the child is on that task, the child is supposed to learn to be resilient. The child is supposed to learn to be resilient. That's what all those math that you have in school, almighty formula, equation, this one, that's what it is supposed to achieve in our children. So when they see this almighty formula, they try and they don't seem to understand what this one means, what that when you come and you say body mass, what that means, how do I do multiplication before addition? And then he tries, it's not working, and he stays on, continues to try, it's not working, continues to try, and he's able to turn and look at Ayo. Ayo, please, can you give me a hand? I don't understand why I have been working and I can't seem to get the answer. Do you know what it could be or what the next step could be? And Ayo can say to him, okay, just give me a minute, let me look at that. Okay, I see where the problem is. You want to look at step 3 again. Look at step 3 again. What you're doing is division instead of multiplication. Can you look at that again? And then he looks at it and is able to, oh, okay, I see. And then he tries. Resilience is staying on that task. So when you come and you are asking him, how long have you been doing that homework? Will you stand up and get out of that place? You are inhibiting the process. You are inhibiting learning. You're stopping your child from being able to learn. You are not giving the child the education that the child deserves. So every time you come and your child, every time you have those house helps, wash their clothes, pack their clothes, pack the food, do everything for your 12-year-old, because the only thing that is important to you, Anna is laughing, because the only thing that is important to you is that they get to school early. So you're teaching your child what to do. Get to school early. You're not teaching your child to learn how to get to school early. That is not the education that your child deserves. So when you make your 10, 11, and 12-year-old wake up in the morning, and all he has to do is get off the bed, get into the bathroom. In fact, by the time he gets off the bed, the water is waiting for him in the bathroom, okay? We go as far as even when the water, even when the child, all the child needs to do is run the tap. We go ahead to run the tap for the child, or we have them boil water from the kitchen, and then they bring it, and then they mix the water, and then the child comes. We practically do everything. The child just comes in, takes his lovely bath, and then steps out, and then goes to dress up. Comes, food that people have prepared. He eats the food, and then probably have the house help that have taken his bag to the car for him. We are talking about your 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old. So they take all these things for him, and then he now goes in there and he goes to school, because all that we're concerned about is having him get to school early and not having him learn how to love to get ready early. You're giving the child the education that the child does not deserve. You're not giving the child the education that the child deserves. Okay? And then, okay, there's this new one. You stay, you don't do all that. The house girl will do all of this. Everybody has been doing all of this. And boom, it's now 10, 11. Oh, boarding school, the savior. Boarding school, the savior. And then what do? We make sure we pack them, and then we go and we dump them in the boarding school. So we dump them in the boarding school, where some 16-year-old senior will have to be the one to force him. So at the end of the day, we are ready to dump our children where they are not going to be taught, where they are not going to be allowed to learn how, where they're going to be forced. So they will end up doing it out of fear. They will end up doing it because it's a necessity, but they will not end up doing it because they love it. So at the end of the day, the child still doesn't love to learn. The child still doesn't love to do that thing. So that's why we see people who will end up going to boarding school or going anywhere, and they come back and they still end up at 18 with their rooms untidy, dirty as a matter of fact, even after they've gone through that process. In fact, why am I going too far? They come home to your home. When they come during the holidays, okay, when they come during the holidays, you can't even see You can't even see that thing that you sent them to the boarding school for, because hey, when they come during holiday, they will say to you, I've worked so hard, all I want to do is rest. And then of course, in our usual helicopter parent manner, we make people do everything for them because they do it in school. In our heads, they do these things in school. Now so when they are home, let them rest. So that's the time they sleep and they wake up whenever, confusing the child. It's one thing in school, it's another thing altogether at home. Okay, and that's because we don't think we should do. I don't have any objection to boarding school. I don't have any problem. Boarding school is not the point. It's you doing what you need to do. It's our children having the education that they need and learning what they need to learn before they go there. Okay, now the task your child is doing is supposed to help your child become responsible. That's the 5th R. So when your child is given that task from school and he comes home, what he's supposed to do is be able to get up on his own after resting for about 30 minutes or 1 hour, having a nap or whatever, or having playing outdoor for a bit, whatever. Afterwards, the child is able to look at his schedule and say, oh, it's time for me to do my homework. And the child is able to go grab his book, go to his reading corner. Okay, go to his reading corner or position and then get to his work. But oh no, we have to be the ones. In fact, we have the lesson teacher waiting, right? We have the lesson teacher waiting. So when the lesson teacher comes, that's when the book will come out, and then that's when they will start working. So the child on his own cannot be responsible enough to know that he's supposed to do his homework. So we would remind them from when they are 8. Right from when they are 5, 8, 10, 12, and you're still reminding your 15-year-old, your 12-year-old to do his homework. If you're still having to do that, then it means your child is struggling with responsibility. And it is in all the math task and all that English task and homework and everything that comes home, that is where they're supposed to develop all these skills that I've just talked about. So for every task that your teacher, your child's teacher sends home, what they're trying to do is they're trying to teach, sometimes a lot of our teachers don't even know this. So I am saying this to you today. For every time that your child comes home with those homework, for every time that your child comes home with those tasks, it is not so much as the result or the answer of those tasks, okay, that is important. Okay, what is important is that your child is ready to learn, is that your child becomes resourceful, that your child is able to reflect, that your child is resilient, and that your child is responsible. That is what effective learning is. So for every time your child is learning, for everything that your child is learning, okay, the math, the English, the science, and all of that, these are all tools that are supposed to teach your child to be all these things that I just talked about. So yes, your math, your science, this is not the outcome. These are the tools that will lead your child to develop these attributes, to develop these skills that will be what the child needs to be a lifelong learner, that will prepare the child to take on any task, whatever it is. Even if they say we're all moving to Mars today, the fact that your child is able, that your child is ready to learn how to survive, not survive, how to thrive in Mars. If they say we're going to start flying in bags in the air, okay, your child is able to learn the skill, okay, to help him thrive with that new technology or that new experience. Your child is ready to learn. Okay, if whatever it is that is the job or the skill that will be relevant in 20 years, your child is resourceful enough to look and to think of how to use the things around him, right, to achieve what it means or what it takes to thrive, okay, in that new job that is going to be available, that is going to be, that we're going to have to deal with in 10, 20 years. Okay, whatever it is, your child is able to reflect. Okay, your child is able to reflect at every point. Okay, things have changed. This is what I have now. What do I need to do? What did I do in the past? What do I need to do differently? And all that. So when your child learns to be reflective, your child is able to say to himself, what did I do about that physics experiment? Why didn't I get it right? Why didn't I get that formula right? What did I do differently? What should I do differently this time? Your child is able to stay on the task every time in order to reach the required outcome. The child excellence becomes the child's becomes the word, okay? It becomes a thing for your child. Excellence becomes a thing for your child. So at every time the child wants to be excellent, because the child knows how to stay on, okay? The child is resilient enough to stay on until the child understands or is able to take on that task. Then the child is responsible to know what to do at what time. What is important per time? What should be done? When the child is responsible, the child will be focused. The child will be focused. The child will know what to do per time and all that. Now tell me, with a child that is all this, those straight A's not inevitable? So with a child that is all this, the straight A's are going to be, the child will end up with those straight A's. The child will end up in Harvard if you want. Right? So with a child that knows, has learned all these from day one, the sky will be the child's limit. Why is that? Only because we gave the child the education that the child deserves. So yes, I'm coming back to break that table for parents who think that their children need to be in schools, okay? They need to be in a place where people are beating them up and down for them to learn. They need to be in a place where the competition is stiff and they are constantly under pressure. They need to be in a place where they do not play at all. They do not learn through play to hang on, be resilient, to be resilient, to be responsible. They do not learn to learn. They do not learn to love learning. Okay, when you go to those when you go to, what do they call them? When you go to LES, right? You go to LES, or you go to, what do they call them now? Preschools. When you go to preschools and you see all that spread of endless play. I don't know what you want your preschooler to go and do in school apart from going to play. I don't know what you want your preschooler to go and do in school apart from going to explore. Play, explore, try new things, try things, break things, throw things around just to see, okay? Throw things around just to see how they react. Well, the outcome of it. So for every time you are stopping your children from playing, that is you stifling, that is you stopping learning from happening, that is you trying to get your child or teach your child what to learn and not how to learn. When the child explores, the child is trying to know how to learn. When your child throws those things around, when the child fiddles with those things around, turns your house upside down, what the child is trying to do is the child is trying to figure out how to learn. Okay, now let me finish on this note. We've stayed here for too long thanks to all the hiccups, right? So let me finish on this note. So recently I've been researching education and why education in certain parts of the world, certain part of the world keep coming up over and over as places that have like the best education. So for every time you research or you talk about where the best education, where the best education ranking in the world, countries like Finland and Singapore keep coming up. Finland and Singapore keep coming up amongst the top, most times interchange first and second, or at least amongst the top three countries where the education system is doing that they have a sound education system. Okay, so I've been looking at these and today I was just looking at Finland, and it is said that in Finland children don't go to school till they're about 7 years old. They don't go to school till they are about 7 years old. And they don't go to school very early in the morning. School starts about 9 thereabouts. And these are the people, right? These are the people that have been, that doing, they're the ones doing well, where you're talking about thriving in education. Their students from this part of the world are the ones topping every list of children who are doing well. And these are the children that did not see a school till they were 7. So in those years before school, what were they doing? They were being stimulated in their homes. They were having experiences. They were learning. They were going to the beach. They were hanging out. They were going to the beach. They were having picnics with grandma and all of that. They were going shopping to the shopping mall. They were doing all of these other things, creating experiences, learning experiences. So much so that when they get into the classroom at age 7, okay, the experiences that they have in the classroom are not experiences that they are having for the first time in their lives. So basically, they are already excited. So when they see, when those things come up, when they have those things in their classroom, they are ready to learn, because they are excited about this learning already. Okay, in Finland, it is said that the children have as much as 72 hours of play in a day. So they go to school and they learn for 40 minutes and they go and play for another 40 minutes thereabouts. Okay, and then the kind of recreation they have in their schools are are structured in a way that they have a lot of recreational activities. So they can pool in there. They go and they play pool. They go and they skate. During the season, you can skate in school. You can play. You have a gaming room where you go and tap soccer and PlayStation between classes. They do a lot of outdoor play, outdoor learning, where they go out with the teacher and they have conversations. A lot of their learning is conversational. Children are talking using rich language and all of that. It is said that they go with the least amount of homework, if at all they go with homework at all. And they go to school at 9 in the morning, and at 2 or 2:30, school is over. Yet they have one of the best education in the world. So my dear parent, for you that wants your child, okay, that is 4 years old, to write 1 to 3 million like Lagbaja, the child that is going to top in his class in Harvard, okay, did not go to school till he was 7, just so that we get it right, okay, just so that we begin to look at things from a different perspective. Okay, now it is said that in Finland, even in Singapore, in Finland, it is said that competition is out of the way. So they don't take standardized exams. They do not know nothing. The children don't know anything about like writing exams. No, they don't take standardized exams, nothing. So they do not allow, or they do not encourage competition. Rather, what they encourage is collaboration. So the world is moving towards collaboration. Here, we're still here counting, that our children came first, and we're still confused, or we're still in that era where if we have not seen position, we will not rest. Some parents will even go to schools where there are no, the schools don't do position, and they will still insist that they want to see how their child has done. They want to see the position that the child is. I've even heard parents who will move their children from one school to another because they want to see how competitive their children are, because we have the competition mentality. Parents will say to you, they're taking their children to another school so that they will see in that school if the child can do well as he was doing in his former school. What you should be concentrating on is the curriculum that your child's school wants. So you should be asking, please, I would like to see your curriculum. I would like to see what you are doing in your school. That is what you should take and go and compare with other curricula. You should take that and compare them with other schools, the curriculum from other schools. That is the work we would do. But because a lot of times as parents, we don't want to do the work. No, we don't want to do the work. So we don't want to compare curriculums. We don't want to look at curriculums. We are not even interested in anything. We just want to keep moving them until we get the place where they can suck up to us, or we get to the place where they are shaking them like this every day, or we get to the place where we're seeing outcomes. We're seeing, we see the red marks, right? Boom, 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 he got winning. So hey parents, I am just trying to say to you, if you don't know what your child needs, if you don't know the kind of education that your child needs, you will fall for anything that is shiny. Everybody will tell you what it is that your child needs, and you will fall for it because you don't know what it is that your child deserves. Shockingly, I mean, we have a lot of educators out there who have been sold this dysfunctionality, and even they themselves live this dysfunctionality. So who is going to direct you? Who is going to lead you if you are not looking at what you need to do as a parent? Okay, it is even said that in Finland, the teachers, okay, the least qualification to be a teacher in Finland is a master's degree. So you must have a master's degree. So they don't have teachers who are teachers because there was nothing else to do. They have teachers who are teachers because they are the best and they chose this as a vocation. They chose teaching as a vocation. They chose teaching because they love to teach the children. So you see, with these, why won't the children come out? I mean, why won't they have the most remarkable education in the world? All right, so that is it. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so if you want to be a part of our pathway to effective, if you want to be a part of our stimulating our course, right, the creating a stimulating environment in your home, right, for your children, then please send me a DM or send me a message. My number is always in the group. Okay, so send me a DM, send me a message, and let us know that you would like to join us in that program. It starts in 2 days. In 2 days, you will be glad you joined that program. That's all I can say to you. You will be glad you joined that program because it promises to be revealing. It promises to give you a new perspective to education, both for you and for your children. So thank you very much for all who hung out here with us today. I am very sure that I am on my profile at this rate. I don't think I'm in the group. Okay, I am so sorry. It's been a lot of hiccups today. It's been a lot of hiccups today. I'm so sorry about that. We will work on this and make sure we don't have this kind of situation in the future. So thank you very much. My name is Maribeth Chima, and I'm your host and convener of the Parenting Through Mentorship community and academy. Thank you for allowing us be a part of your journey. Okay, thank you very much. Have a lovely, and if you're catching the replay, please let me know you caught the replay. Okay, if you have any questions, please drop them and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, King J Speaks. All right, thank you, Ene, for hanging here. Thank you, Ganfer, and thank you for all those who joined earlier. Okay, I went off the group so they couldn't join back. All right, so thank you very much. Have a lovely, evening. Bye. Bye-bye. Okie dokie.